Finally, the WNBA and its owners have sent a proposal to the union. After 6 weeks of seeing Nneka Ogwumike show up on the caller ID and just letting the phone ring, after 6 weeks of receiving text messages from the players union and leaving them on red, after 6 weeks of email after email after email after email, and the owners saying, gosh, these chicks are annoying. Finally, they said, you know what? Let's just throw something together real quick.
For 42 days, the silence was the message. Imagine the scene. The offices of the WNBA Players Association, WNBPA, buzzing with a cautious optimism just after Christmas. They had delivered their proposal for a new collective bargaining agreement, a blueprint for the future they believed they had earned. It sat, not in a void, but in the inboxes and on the desks of the league's owners. And then, nothing. For 6 weeks, the call log showed the same IDs. The text messages stacked up, marked read but unanswered. Emails vanished into a digital abyss, their read receipts the only acknowledgement. The union's leadership, led by President Nneka Ogwumike, was left in a purgatory of waiting, their only company the echo of their own proposals. It was a masterclass in passive negotiation, a tactic as old as bargaining itself. Delay is a form of communication. It says, your urgency is not ours. Your timeline is not ours.
ESPN can confirm that the WNBA has submitted a new proposal today to the WNBPA, as expected following Monday's meeting. The WNBA Players Association initially submitted a proposal around Christmas that the league had yet to formally respond to until today. They sent a proposal around Christmas, and here we are 1 week out from Valentine's Day, and the league said, all right, just send them something back.
It establishes, without a word, who sets the pace. Then, as the calendar flipped to 1 week before Valentine's Day, the response finally arrived. Not with a bang, but with a late Friday electronic submission, a classic move for news meant to be buried over the weekend. The WNBA owners had sent their counter-proposal. The timing, as much as the content, was a declarative statement. It framed the entire 6-week interlude not as a period of thoughtful consideration, but as a power play. The message was clear. We'll engage when we are ready, on our terms. This is where our story truly begins. Not with the proposal's details, but with this profound and telling asymmetry in urgency. It exposes
the understanding it would soon have a new proposal on a collective bargaining agreement. It came Friday evening, when the WNBA submitted its latest proposal to the union, a source told ESPN, confirming news first reported by the Associated Press. This ended a more than 6-week wait from the Players Association for a counter to its latest offer. Players waking up every day. Did they respond yet? No. Hey, just checking in. Any update? It wasn't immediately known what the league's new offer entailed.
The fundamental tension at the heart of these negotiations, a tension between transformative ambition and financial reality, between a demand for equity now and the patience required to build it sustainably. Act 1. The offer on the table, that's not nothing. Before we dissect the conflict, we must first acknowledge the substantial ground already ceded. When the league's previous offer was unveiled, a presentation laid out in slides obtained by ESPN, it was not the offering of a miserly or intransigent party. By any objective measure, it represented a seismic leap forward from the current CBA. The league put forward 37 distinct improvements. This wasn't tinkering at the edges. It was a wholesale renovation of the WNBA's working conditions. Let's catalog the headlines. Compensation revolution. The maximum salary, currently capped at $249,000, would catapult to $1 million by 2026, with mechanisms to push it,
such as revenue sharing, in their effort to strike a new CBA. We get it, revenue sharing. We get it. If that's the only key issue, well, just say that's the only key issue. Not few key issues. It's the only key issue. The WNBA, the owners, they've given them everything else but the 30%. That's all they want, is just the 30%. The CBA is supposed to begin May 8th. The season is supposed to begin May 8th, but an expansion draft, free agency, and a rookie draft also need to happen before the league tips off. Ogwumike said once revenue sharing is solved, The rest hopefully will
potentially over $2 million over the life of the agreement. This isn't incremental growth. It's a quadrupling of the top end of the scale. Charter flights, codified. No more grueling commercial travel, cramped connections, and security concerns. The players' paramount health and safety demand was to be written into the contract, a monumental operational and financial commitment from owners. Pregnancy protections. A groundbreaking clause granting pregnant players the right to refuse trades. This is more than a benefit. It's a profound statement of bodily autonomy and career security for women in sports. Roster expansion. The addition of 2 developmental roster spots per team.
The league's previous offer last month would guarantee a maximum salary of $1 million in 2026. That could reach 1.3 through revenue sharing. That's up from the current $249,000 and could grow to nearly $2 million over the life of the agreement. That was on slides that were presented to players at Money Meeting and obtained by ESPN and other outlets. The slides also outlined 37 areas where the league was willing to make concessions that players wanted. Some of these proposals included adding 2 developmental player slots to teams, giving pregnant players the right to refuse trades, which I think is huge, actually. I think it's huge.
Creating more jobs and investment in cultivating talent. Player perks. Free league passes for players, improved hotel accommodations, and better facility standards. This package, in isolation, is the stuff of which union dreams were made just a few bargaining cycles ago. It directly addresses long-standing grievances about pay, travel, respect, and career longevity. As the commentary noted with stark simplicity, that's not nothing. In fact, it's everything but the one thing. Act 2. The immovable object. The 30% question. And that one thing is the Grand Canyon, separating the two sides. Revenue sharing. The WNBPA's central non-negotiable pillar is a demand for players to receive 30% of the league's gross revenue starting in year 1. Gross revenue means the total income the league generates from all sources: ticket sales, TV deals, merchandise.
Expansion draft for Toronto and Portland. The CBA was announced in the middle of January 2020, a month after it had been agreed to. It could easily take 2 months from when a new CBA is reached to get the start of free agency, which was supposed to begin last month. With a massive salary raise expected in a new CBA, 80% of players in the league are free agents this offseason, which makes this the biggest opportunity for player movement in the history of the WNBA. A delay would hurt both sides, as every game that is missed, revenue would be lost, as would sponsorships, television money, and fan support. Ogwumike, who was in her 3rd term as union president,
sponsorships before a single expense is paid. It is the top line number. The owner's counter has been an offer of over 70% of net revenue, also termed basketball-related income, or BRI. Net revenue is what remains after expenses, those very charter flights, upgraded hotels, facility costs, healthcare, marketing, and administrative overhead are deducted. It is the profit. This distinction is not semantic, it is existential. It defines the entire economic relationship. The player's argument is rooted in equity and partnership. They assert that as the primary product, the performers whose talent drives the value, they deserve a guaranteed, transparent slice of all revenue coming in. They point to the NBA model, where players receive roughly 50% of BRI as the North Star. Their stance is principled. We are the engine. Pay us like partners from the first dollar. The owner's position is rooted in accounting and sustainability.
Now, the funny thing that these owners could do, shout out to Bane. Bane, happy belated birthday to you. And when the owners resubmit the same proposal they submitted before the players, this would be the funny thing. If the owners, just like the players send in a proposal to the owners say, fuck no. The players send them the same thing. The owners say, I'm not even going to respond. Now the owners...
The WNBA, for all its recent explosive growth and popularity, is not the NBA. It is an enterprise that, by the league's own accounting, lost an estimated $40 million last season. Yes, ratings and attendance hit record highs. But the cost structure, especially with the new investments players are rightly demanding, remains high. The owners argue that sharing gross revenue when the net is deeply negative is not sharing profit, but subsidizing loss. That 30% of gross would come not from a pool of surplus, but would necessitate owners writing even larger checks to cover the shortfall. Their stance is practical. You can't share what isn't there.
To their emotions a little bit more, because this is an emotional bunch here. I like that, Bane. The owners are just going to submit the same proposal they submitted before the Players Association's December proposal. How funny would that be? Now, Nneka Ogwumike was down there at Athletes Limited. In hindsight, now we know that they sent a proposal. But let's just read along, shall we? President Nneka Ogwumike and WNBA staff were in Nashville last night, where they held a players-only meeting with AU players, including executive committee members Brianna Turner and Alicia Clark.
Let's share the profits generously when we finally achieve them. Herein lies the core of the stalemate. The union sees the gross revenue demand as a matter of respect, valuation, and true partnership. The league sees it as a mathematical impossibility that ignores the financial underpinnings of the business. One side is fighting for an ideal economic model. The other is operating from a current financial statement. Act 3. The contradictions and the clock. Into this tense deadlock, narratives have begun to fray and contradictions have emerged, further clouding the path to a deal. President Ogwumike, in the wake of the long-delayed proposal, framed the 6-week wait as a gift. She explained it gave the union valuable.
No response is the response. They need to be realistic and sign that on the dotted line. Annie, you are too old guard positive for me. Oh, call out these delusional, entitled, childish, unprofessional, low IQ players still listening to the union leaders that want the season canceled. Wake up, fools. Yeah, that's a good point. The executive committee, they're really capitalizing on the lack of understanding that some players have. They're really taking advantage of that.
Time to convene with players, as she did at an Athletes Unlimited event in Nashville, to dissect details and build consensus. This is a reasonable strategic perspective from a union leader. However, it directly clashes with the very public, month-and-a-half-long campaign from the union and its supporters framing the owner's silence as disrespectful, dismissive, and a tactic of bad faith negotiation. You cannot credibly claim to be both aggrieved by a delay and grateful for the time it afforded. This narrative dissonance risks eroding public and player confidence. It suggests a messaging strategy that prioritizes.
Let me know in the comment section below if you've stuck around this long. One, I appreciate it. Appreciate all the support you guys have been giving this channel throughout this off season, from the start before I showed my face until where we are right now. So I appreciate all the support, seriously. Thank you very much, all the members. I appreciate you guys. Let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning the Super Bowl? Seahawks or Patriots? And give me a score. See you next time, and as always,
emotional appeal over consistency, and it plays into the hands of critics who accuse the union leadership of being more interested in the fight than the finish line. Meanwhile, the clock is no longer a background tick. It is a deafening gong. The new CBA is slated to begin on May 8th, which is also the targeted opening night of the 2025 season. The runway to that date is cluttered with mandatory events that cannot be rushed. An expansion draft for the new teams in Toronto and Portland. Free agency, which is poised to be the most chaotic and significant in league history, with roughly 80% of players potentially becoming free agents due to the new salary structures. The collegiate draft, headlined by the generational arrival of Caitlin Clark. Each of these is a massive, complex undertaking, requiring weeks of lead time for planning, negotiations, and transactions. A delay in the CBA doesn't just postpone a signing. It freezes the entire ecosystem of the league. Every day that passes without a deal pushes these events closer together, or, worse, pushes the start of the season back. And a delayed or shortened season means lost revenue from tickets, local sponsorships, and media deals, which ironically shrinks the very revenue pool over which they are fighting. Act 4. The leverage mirage and the risk of lost momentum. The union's power rests on a fundamental threat: the willingness to withhold labor, to strike. This is the ultimate leverage in any labor negotiation, but leverage is only effective if it is credible, and its credibility is determined by a cold calculus of consequences. The owner's position. Many WNBA team owners are individuals or ownership groups with vast wealth portfolios. primarily anchored by their NBA franchises. The WNBA, while a passion project and a strategic investment for most, represents a fractional part of their financial landscape. They can withstand a period of lost operations. Their pain is largely opportunity cost, the stalling of momentum, not existential threat. The player's position. For the vast majority of players, the WNBA salary, even at pre-CBA levels, is a vital and irreplaceable component of their annual income. While many play overseas, the WNBA's platform, visibility, and home soil competition are unique. A strike means lost wages, lost career momentum, and lost time in the prime of an athlete's window. Furthermore, the threat of replacement players, while distasteful to consider, is real. The world is full of immensely talented female basketball players not currently in the league who would likely cross a picket line for a WNBA opportunity, undermining the strike's solidarity. The greater, more existential risk, however, is to the league's once-in-a-generation momentum. The 2024 season was a watershed. Caitlin Clark's arrival sparked a national conversation. Viewership shattered records. Attendance soared. Jerseys sold out. The league finally cracked the mainstream sports consciousness in a sustainable, youth-driven way. This momentum is fragile. It requires nurturing, consistency, and building on success. A labor stoppage, or even the prolonged, public, acrimonious specter of one, is a momentum killer. It changes the narrative from, "Look at this amazing growth," to, "Look at this dysfunctional conflict." It alienates casual fans just being won over. It gives skittish corporate sponsors and media partners pause. It wastes the precious cultural capital the league has accrued. In the brutal competition for the American sports dollar, the WNBA cannot afford to step off the gas. A strike doesn't just cost games. It could cost the league its hard-won relevance. Watching this unfold, a growing contingent of observers, fans, media, and likely some players quietly, are experiencing a profound frustration. The sentiment echoes in comment sections and sports talk. They got almost everything. Why blow up the season over this one complex financial point? From this vantage point, the owner's offer looks like 90% of a revolutionary victory. It addresses the tangible, quality-of-life issues that have plagued the league for years: pay, travel, treatment, and job security. The revenue-sharing impasse, while symbolically crucial, is fundamentally an argument about how to divide future, theoretical profits in a league that is currently unprofitable. The realist's argument is this: secure the transformative deal now. Lock in the charter flights, the million-dollar salaries, the pregnancy protections. These are life-changing, league-altering wins. Use this CBA to solidify the foundation. Grow the league, the ratings, and the revenue under this new, better model. Then, in 5 or 7 years, when the WNBA's books are closer to black or in the black, negotiate revenue sharing from a position of proven, increased value. The leverage for 30% of gross is far greater when the league is generating $500 million in revenue profitably than when it is losing money on $200 million. The counter-argument, of course, is that this is a surrender of principle. It accepts the framing of the league as a loss leader and players as a cost rather than partners. It kicks the can of true economic partnership down the road. For union leaders and activists, this is capitulation. They believe the only way to force the owners to truly invest in marketing and growth is to directly tie player pay to league revenue, creating a shared incentive. So, we stand at the brink. A late Friday proposal has finally landed after a telling silence. The union is reviewing it, but the heart of the conflict, gross versus net, remains. What happens next is a test of nerve and pragmatism. The likely short-term path. The union will reject this proposal or make a counter that insists on the gross revenue model. The owners will declare they have moved far enough. Both sides will dig in, edging closer to the May 8th cliff. There will be leaks, angry public statements, and mobilizations on social media. But in the background, the pressure of the clock will build exponentially. The lost revenue from a delayed expansion draft, a compressed free agency, and missed games will become tangible. The excitement of the off-season will curdle into anxiety. My prediction: like that of many who follow these dances, is that a deal gets done at the 11th hour. It will involve creative compromise, perhaps a hybrid model with a small percentage of gross revenue guaranteed, escalating significantly based on net revenue thresholds being met. Both sides will claim victory. Ogwumike will hail a new era of respect and investment. The league will praise a historic agreement that ensures sustainable growth. But the damage from the protracted stalemate will be real. The unseemly public fight, the narrative of greed or intransigence, depending on your side. The wasted weeks of positive buzz, these leave a stain. They reinforce the outdated, tired trope of women's sports being defined by drama off the court rather than excellence on it. The ultimate choice is this. Is the principle of a specific revenue-sharing model in 2025 worth jeopardizing the tangible, life-altering gains on the table and the fragile, historic momentum of the entire enterprise? The players absolutely deserve to be partners. They have earned a transformative deal. The owner's offer, sans the revenue model, is that transformative deal. The quest for perfect partnership may risk the very foundation upon which that partnership is built. Sometimes, the most powerful move is not holding the line indefinitely, but securing the plateau from which the next, higher summit can be reached. The WNBA's future, finally so dazzlingly bright, now hangs on recognizing which peak is truly worth planting the flag upon today.